Hey, welcome back. In this screencast, I'm going to talk a little bit about how to center elements. So centering text, like within a box, is pretty straightforward. We have the text align property in CSS that allows us to do that. So if I wanted to center this text, for example, I would, so that text is in this paragraph. I could just come up here at another CSS rule targeting my paragraphs and say text align center. So that's pretty straightforward, and you can see it targets all my other paragraphs because all of that text is contained in a paragraph too. So text align is what you use to center text within a box. However, what gets a little tricky though is when you want to center the entire box within its container. So we can see here I have this red box, which is my parent element. So I've got, my whole browser window is the main parent. Within that, when I scroll down here, I have this div. So that div is this red box here. So that is a parent element that contains two children or nested elements, these two boxes right here, these two divs. And you can see the white box is set at 100% width, so it's taking up all the space that it can within its container. Of course, it doesn't go all the way to these edges here because the parent element has some padding. Of course, if I remove the padding, this white box takes up the entire space. With the padding though, now the white box, it's set at 100%, so it's taking up all the space that it can, which means that centering isn't relevant for this box. However, if we look at this black box here, I've set this box to have a width of 50%, so it is only taking up 50% of the allowable space, which means this 50% over here is remaining. So you can see by default, as soon as I set a width to a nested element that is less than 100%, it defaults to being aligned to the left, which of course is just the default behavior of everything. Text automatically aligns to the left. These objects, these nested elements automatically align to the left. Of course, that's assuming we're not coding for a language that goes from in the other direction from right to left. So if we want to override that default behavior of aligning to the left, if we want to center it, what we need to do is target that box that we want to center and set its side margins, right and left margin, to auto. So let me go ahead and do that first. So again, we're talking about this wrapper right here, the second box within it, which is this black box. So that has an ID called box 2. If we come up here, there's box 2, the ID box 2. I've set a background of black, text color of white, and I've set the width to 50%, which again is very important because that means that there is all this remaining space. I'm going to set its left margin to auto and its right margin to auto. And you can see that that has automatically centered that box. This is because when you set the side margins, the right and left margins of a box to auto, to both of them to auto, by the way, they both have to be set to auto, what it's doing is it's taking up that extra space that was left over from after setting its width. So that 50, in this situation, there was 50% space left over. It's taking that remaining space and dividing it equally between the left and the right. So once both sides are equal, that therefore automatically centers that object. So you can do it by setting margin left to auto or margin right to auto, or of course we can just use the shortcut margin. And I'm just going to go ahead and set auto for all four sides, because in this situation I don't actually want to specify a top or a bottom, so I can just leave all four sides to auto. And you can see the top and bottom haven't been changed, but what has been changed is the entire box now is centered, because I've taken that remaining width that was left over and auto has split it equally between both the right and left, which again automatically centers this object. Okay, so again, what that helps us with is being able to center a box within another box, or a nested element within its container. Again, if all you're trying to do though is center this text within the box, that is where you use text align. So text align center centers the text within that box. Margin left, margin right auto centers the entire box within its container. I did include a link here that I think also goes to that CSStricks.com site, which, by the way, has a lot of helpful information. So it goes into a little more detail about horizontal centering, how to horizontally center elements, both inline and block level. And it actually does, by the way, go into some vertical centering as well, which I will come back to when I talk about CSS, Flexbox, and Grid. But for now, main takeaway here is to center a nested element within its container, target that nested element, set its side margins, margin left, margin right, to auto, and that's it. Okay, as always, let me know if you have any questions about this. Thanks.